Hey guys, what's going on? 2015 has drawn to a close, so of course it is time to look back at the worst movies of 2015. It's what we really love doing here. So here are our picks for the worst movies of 2015.
Worst movie. There's so many contenders for worst movies of 2015. I was really proud of Society this year because a lot of the worst movies nobody gave a fuck about. I was like, yeah, audience, you don't care. I'm gonna have to go with the movie that made me the angriest having to sit through. And the top of that list is probably Pan. Nobody saw it. Don't see it. You don't care about this movie, but trust me, if you did sit through it, you know what I'm talking about. Pan is the epitome of everything I hate about the modern movie bullshit. It's an established idea that was gonna bring audiences to the theater, but nobody needed to see this version of Peter Pan ever. It had musical elements and action and stars that didn't need to be there. The whole thing could have really been like one of the Star Wars prequels. There was so much green screen garbage and it looked like a video game and there was no story. It was like visuals for the sake of visuals and bombastic music to try and give you emotions where there was no story to fill it in. There was two-dimensional characters, terrible acting, horrible writing. It was just a cluster of awful.
So the worst movie of 2015 is a little bit of a toss-up for me because I generally don't like Pixar, and so I really didn't like Inside Out, and I had to sit through it, so I really just got angry at that movie. However, what made me angrier was Jupiter Ascending, because I will defend the Wachowskis to the death. I will go out of my way to defend them, and they just completely let me down. It's an undefendable movie, and they're in the same year that Sense 8 came out. Come on, man. They were clearly making Sense 8 awesome, and they didn't give a rat's ass about Jupiter Ascending.
Worst movie of the year, Terminator Genesis. Now, I should have known this movie was going to be bad because they spelled Genisys like it was a stripper's name. I still went in with high hopes because I love the Terminator franchise. Okay, let me clarify. I love Terminators 1 and 2. I was hoping this might be reviving the franchise and getting it back on track to maybe being good again, but it was just a dumpster fire. It was really no good at all. Everything about it sucked. The plot was bad, the acting was bad. I've always kind of had a chip on my shoulder when people are like, oh, that movie raped my childhood, when they do a reboot or a remake of a movie that already existed and they're like, oh, that ruined the first one. I usually don't think that's true, but Genisys was the first time where I actually felt like, you know what? I think this actually does damage the earlier movies that were good. So way to go, Genisys, blazing a new trail.
My worst movie of 2015 is Jurassic World. Now, I've talked a lot about it on the channel, I think. The point is, it's not my pick for the worst of 2015 because of how just objectively bad it is, because I think the movie is objectively mediocre. The movie's kind of fun. I've rewatched it since it came out in the theaters, and it's kind of fun, and it's not without its charm. Pratt is there, everything's fine. But what I found so frustrating about Jurassic World is how passionately mediocre it was and how indicative it was of a lot of other problems that are going on with movies now. The storytelling was very sloppy. There's a lot of things that got set up and not paid off. The gender politics of the movie were very confusing. It was just a mess. It was a big sloppy mess in a big shiny package, and it made all the money in the world. And that's what I found so frustrating about Jurassic World. There's nothing particularly like actively bad about Jurassic World. There are plenty of other actively bad movies. Jupiter Ascending, actively bad. Fantastic Four, just not a competently put together motion picture. Jurassic World was at least competently assembled, but the sum of its parts were so frustrating and so just not good enough for the movie to then go on to be the biggest success of all time. It's just frustrating. And so that's why I got to put it up there as my pick for worst movie of 2015. All right, everybody, those were our picks for the worst movies of 2015. Let us know what you think about it. Did we miss them? I'm sure we did, because we only named like half a dozen movies there. So a lot of bad movies. Let us know what was your least favorite. What was the worst movie of 2015? If you'll allow me to be grammatically incorrect for a minute, and I hope you do. Click like and subscribe. Come back next year on CineFix.